Hello, welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. What's happening, man? I hope you guys are doing great today. Another great day, right? Well, check this out, man. If you would please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the serenity prayers for the addict who still suffers, and for those of us who are bound down to some sort of struggle that keeps us from moving forward in this toxic life that we live in, man. So, yeah, please join me in a moment of silence. God, grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, wisdom to know the difference. All right, well, let's get this podcast started, man. How's it going, man? I hope you guys are doing good, man. It's going pretty good, It's kind of, well, I wouldn't say it's going that great because there's some things happening in my personal life that is kind of weighing heavy, but, all I can do is pray, right? And hopefully that things turn out for the better. I won't get into any details, but just know that if you listen to this video here, we could use all the prayers that we can that we can get. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, okay. But I guess to get moving on this subject of today, I wanted to talk about let me put these things on. I want to talk about this thing that it was something that popped out at me while I was reading and studying the Dhammapada Theravada book, and it is I was reading it and halfway through the reading this morning, this thing popped out at me, and it was in the section of the of the Dhammapada Theravada book that's titled Thoughts. And I really like this one little, this paraphrase that they had here, this little phrase that they had. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read it to you because I want to kind of elaborate on it and make that the title of the meeting, or not the meeting, but the title of the segment today, and that's going to be the topic, right? And so what it says here, it says, whatever a hater may do to a hater, or an enemy to an enemy, a wrongly directed mind will do us greater mischief. It says, not a mother, not a father will do so much, nor any other relative. A well-directed mind will do us greater service. And like I said, this is from the Dhammapada Theravada, and it is under the section titled Thoughts. And when I read that, I could really resonate with it, kind of really touched base with me, you know what I mean? Because I can, where it says, whatever a hater may do to a hater, or an enemy to an enemy, a wrongfully directed mind will do us greater mischief. And, I can remember, in parts of my adversities and parts of the suffering that I went through in my life, I allowed myself to do that. You know what I mean? To have a wrongful mindset on things. And what really popped out at me when I read that was, when I had a loss of my house, my business, and had to, wind up homeless. And it was just such a struggle to me that I started thinking, my whole mindset was thinking that external things were the cause of everything that happened. You know what I mean? So I lived in this mindset, in this closed mindset of blaming. You know what I mean? I blamed the contractors that didn't pay me. I blamed the people that were dealing with my home. I blamed just, you know, everything and anything that I could think of. You know what I mean? Of why I lost everything. You know what I'm saying? And uh, and I lived like that, and I stayed that way. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't. It didn't. I didn't dive in to anything past that. You know what I'm saying? I was so upset that, I lost all of this stuff, and I blamed the lawyers. I blamed the contractors. I blamed, people that, owed me money, and all kinds of different things, right? And all the meanwhile, I didn't looked past any of that, and I in turn there decided that I felt so disappointed in myself, and depressed and angry, and that that everything just like got pulled from under me. You know what I'm saying? And I decided that I was gonna have that wrongful mindset, in the sense that, okay, I'm blaming all these people, now I'm blaming me too. You know what I mean? So the only way that I could not feel or deal with any of these problems were to pick up and use. You know what I'm saying? Picking up and using was a whole lot more convenient for me, because it was just more readily available than dealing with the problems. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, that wrongful mindset really drove my life in this totally wrong direction, and I didn't know how to get out of it. You know what I'm saying? I felt like I let my family down, I let myself down, I let just anything and everybody connected to me down, and I didn't want to. It got this overwhelming feeling of not wanting to even show your face, in a sense. You know what I mean? And it was just terrible, and the only way that I could deal with it at that particular time was through the use. You know what I mean? Through the use of drugs, and the more that I used, the more that I felt that I was beating myself up. You know what I'm saying? I need to suffer because I screwed up. You know what I mean? That's how it felt. And then not only was that happening, but then all the other things that come along with the mind racing and rolling only in this negative way starts bringing up things of the past. You know what I mean? I started thinking about, okay, my relationship when I was married, or the trauma of when I was a kid, or the PTSDs, and just the loss of people that I usually had. I usually could talk to somebody, and that would be one of my uncles that I would call, and he was my go-to guy. You know what I mean? And he's not here anymore, so I couldn't call him, and then I got so far as to start blaming my own father and anybody else in my family who had anything to do with addiction. You know what I'm saying? And I blamed them. I got into this bowl of misery where I started blaming, oh, it's because of y'all. You know what I'm saying? And not directly telling them, but in my own mind, I'm having this raging war of blame game. You know what I'm saying? And it was just, I'm like this because my dad, was an addict and an alcoholic, and he also was homeless at a point in time of his life. So, that torch just got passed on to me. You know what I mean? why was I the one to get it passed on to? Why didn't anybody else get it? I had to endure that, and I had a hard time with that. You know what I'm saying? I had a hard time with that. You know what I mean? And I'm like, because of you, and I just started playing this blaming game, and all the meanwhile, I wasn't looking towards me. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't. It took a long time for me to. It took 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Because of what happened, I relapsed. You know what I mean? And this is after having a 10-year stint of sobriety. You know what I mean? I relapsed, and then I relapsed, and that relapse lasted me for 5 years, man. You know what I'm saying? It lasted for a long time, dude. And unfortunately, it was a long road. You know what I mean? But the way my life is now, and the way and where I'm going, and how my mindset is now, I believe that it was a necessary road to go through. You know what I mean? I had to endure 5 years of this way of living so that I can be where I'm at today. You know what I mean? And it was that whole process is it sucked because I had to finally hit a rock bottom of some sort. You know what I'm saying? And like it said right here, not even your mother, your father, family members, or anything could change that. You know what I'm saying? It could not even anybody like that. And it was so true because I would, not even anybody in my family could tell me that, hey, it's gonna get better, you're gonna do great, da 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 da, and not even for them could I straighten up. You know what I'm saying? And it sucked. So I had to hit a serious rock bottom because not even did anything that they say affect me, but I didn't really give a shit about myself at that point. You know what I mean? So if you don't care about you, then how you gonna fix you? You know what I mean? So it was just a tough road that I had to endure, and but I'm grateful that I hit a rock bottom. You know what I'm saying? Because my rock bottom was a whole lot better than a lot of people's rock bottom that I know. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people who still haven't hit the rock bottom and who are still out there using, and I know a lot of people who never got a chance to hit the rock bottom because they OD'd and that sort of thing, and some people who are still struggling. They're going in and out. You know what I'm saying? In and out of that life, and it's unfortunate, but I consider myself one of the lucky ones. You know what I'm saying? Because I was able to hit a rock bottom, and I was able to hit a rock bottom that allowed me to change my mindset. You know what I'm saying? And I think that is one of the most important parts of living a life of spirituality, recovery, and positivity, is that it's allowing yourself to have allowing yourself to be teachable all over again. You know what I'm saying? Because what I had to do in all this enduring of all these things, and it allowed me to sharpen up the blade of my mind. You know what I'm saying? In other words, when I say that is, I was able to start getting clarity and chopping up my mindset. And then once I had my mindset all chopped up and in all these little pieces, now I can see. Because when it's all just like this in one hard ball, all of that stuff that you're dealing with, you can't see it. You just see this black round ball. You know what I'm saying? And when you're able to chop it all up, now you got all these little pieces. Now you can see what kind of puzzle you got. You can see all the pieces that you have. And you know how you put together a puzzle, you start getting all the same colors and the edges, parts, and putting them in sections. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I was able to do. I was able to do that to my life, and see where I needed to fix things, and where I needed to discard things, and where I needed to nurture things. You know what I'm saying? And the only way I was able to do that is when I started incorporating a different mindset, in the sense that I started studying spirituality. I started living spirituality. I started having a connection with the divine energy. I started involving myself in like-minded communities. You know what I'm saying? Instead of staying in that dark realm. You know what I mean? For a lot of people who are going through adversity, sometimes you have to change people, places, and things, and sometimes it's all of it. You know what I mean? And in my case, I had to change all of it. I had to change people, places, and things. Nothing I do today is the same that I was doing 2 years ago, 3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And it was a tough road, you know what I mean? And by no means am I completely healed up, you know what I'm saying? Because I live with this disease of addiction, and I live with this, these scars of trauma that will never go away, you know what I'm saying? But if I can keep them dormant and allow that energy, that divine energy, to take hold and carry that for me, it allows me to move my mindset where it needs to go. It allows me to suck up all this wisdom and knowledge from different things that I involve myself in, whether it's peer support groups, going to meetings, NAAA, going to Dharma recovery, or doing music therapy, or reading a bunch of knowledgeable books, and watching documentaries, and watching podcasts with people who interact like this. You know what I'm saying? And because I'm doing all of these things, I'm allowing myself to have a well-directed mindset. Because when you put all these positive and knowledgeable things into your mindset, it allows you to see things in a different way than when it's just closed and hard in this, dark realm type of thing. You know what I mean? And because you only see one way, you have these blinders on, that you just got this tunnel vision on. You know what I'm saying? And when you load your mindset with all this different type of positive and spiritual and divine things, it allows you to see things in different array of colors, and cultivate new things, and cultivate things into your new thought process. You know what I'm saying? And it's and I believe that in order to get past adversities, you have to do that. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, we are a being of our thought process. You know what I'm saying? Everything that you do in your life, man, comes from a thought process, man. And it's through the thought process of different people. You know what I mean? It's different people's thought process than your own, all combined into one. You know what I'm saying? And if you are filling your head up with all these negative things or crazy things in social media, or in these dark realms, like I was in the realm of addiction, when you just have your mindset in that way, in that form, in that type of negative thing, that's exactly what you become. You become a product of your environment. You know what I'm saying? And I can honestly tell you today, my mindset is well directed. You know what I'm saying? Right now, my mindset is well directed through all the spiritual practices that I involve myself in, the healthy things that I do. Whether it's my yoga, whether it's my breath work, whether it's my meditation, whether it's hanging out with my Buddhist people over at the Buddhist temple, or hanging out with my friends over at the Hare Krishna area, or hanging out with people that I go to when I go to my to the church over at City Tribe, or just things like that. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm going to these different meetings. You know what I mean? I like to attend different meetings as far as AA and NA go, because I like to go to the rooms and hear the stories. You know what I'm saying? Because those are the things that help you, man. Are the stories. Those that's where you're gonna get that charge from, man. Is when you involve yourself in all these communities. Because if you're solo, it's not gonna be. You can't do it solo, man. You know what I'm saying? We weren't put on this earth to roam around here by ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We're naturally a tribal type of people. You know what I'm saying? We have to depend on each other, and that's why I like, you know, spreading messages on my channel, because I believe that somebody needs to hear it. You know what I'm saying? I believe that somebody is going through it, and possibly my message can help them, and because I know that somebody's message helped me one time, you know, or actually more than once, but it's just the way it is, you know what I mean? And I'm grateful, you know what I mean? I'm grateful to share different things from different cultures, different spiritual things that I learn and adopt and that sort of thing. And I wanted to just share that with you guys this afternoon. So thank you for hearing me out. Thank you for watching my channel. I really appreciate this. And if you would, please, man, at this time, give me a thumbs up, shoot me a comment, hit the bell, hit the subscribe button, man. Just know that when you do hit that subscribe button, man, it don't cost you a thing. It don't cost you a thing at all. But you know what? You'll be helping out another veteran, another homeless person, another person dealing with PTSD, childhood traumatic experiences, drug addiction, alcoholism, suicidal thoughts, grief, depression, all of those types of things, my friends, because I've dealt with all of that stuff at one point in time in my life. And guess what, man? I know a way out, and my way out could be your way out. So I guess until the next time on When the Smoke Clears, I am the Recovery